On the 7th of November, 1925 at dawn, 10 men with torches move across 31 wooden steamships. The ships are lashed together with steel cables in Mallows Bay. The men douse the decks with kerosene. They ignite the torches. They run from ship to ship setting fires. Within minutes, 31 ships are burning simultaneously. The flames rise hundreds of feet. The smoke is visible for miles. Rats flee the burning hulls by thousands. They plunge into the Potomac. Most drown. The inferno burns for hours. It is the greatest intentional destruction of ships at one time in United States history. The ghost fleet of Mallows Bay has begun its transformation from wartime emergency to ecological sanctuary. The ships were not supposed to be here. They were supposed to be in Europe. They were supposed to carry supplies to the Western Front. They were supposed to help win World War I. Instead, they rotted in the James River for 4 years. Then they were sold for scrap. Then they were stripped. Then they were burned. Then they were abandoned. Now they rest in the shallow waters of a Maryland bay. Over 100 wooden steamships, the largest collection of shipwrecks in the Western Hemisphere. The graveyard where World War I went to die. The story begins in April 1917. The United States declares war on Germany. Immediately, the shipping crisis becomes clear. German U-boats are sinking Allied merchant vessels faster than they can be replaced. 200 ships per month. Over 5 million tons sunk since 1914. 1 ship in 4 leaving England never reaches its destination. Torpedoes, mines, surface raiders. The Atlantic is a killing field. Food cannot reach Britain. Weapons cannot reach France. Troops cannot cross safely. The war is being lost at sea. President Woodrow Wilson acts. On April 16, 1917, 10 days after declaring war, the United States Shipping Board creates the Emergency Fleet Corporation. The mission is simple. Build 1,000 merchant ships in 18 months. Replace losses faster than U-boats can sink ships. Overwhelm German submarine warfare through sheer production. The Emergency Fleet Corporation faces immediate problems. Steel is scarce. Steel is needed for warships, for tanks, for artillery, for munitions. Steel cannot be diverted to merchant ships. The solution is wood. Wooden steamships, 240 to 300 feet long, powered by steam engines, capable of crossing the Atlantic. Fast to build, cheap to operate, inferior to steel ships in every way, but available. America has vast timber resources. America has shipyards. America has workers. The decision is made. Build wooden ships. Build them fast. Build enough to defeat the U-boats. 41 shipyards in 17 states begin construction, from Maine to Oregon, from Seattle to Beaumont. Pop-up shipyards are established in towns that never built ships. Farmers become shipwrights. Carpenters become naval architects. The entire nation mobilizes. Timber is harvested from forests in Washington, Oregon, and the South. Mills process the lumber. Railroads transport materials to shipyards. 500,000 civilians join the effort. The largest industrial mobilization in American history to that point. The ships are constructed using assembly line methods. Standardized designs, interchangeable parts, 3 basic types: Huff type, Ferris type, Dunn type. All similar, all wooden-hulled steamships between 240 and 300 feet. Displacement 3,400 to 4,500 tons. Single screw, steam reciprocating engine, speed 10 to 12 knots. Cargo capacity approximately 3 million board feet of lumber or equivalent weight. Construction proceeds frantically. On July 4, 1918, 95 ships are launched, the largest single-day launch in history. Across the nation, shipyards celebrate. Bands play, speeches are given, workers cheer. The emergency fleet is being built. Victory is assured. 4 months later, the war ends. On November 11, 1918, Germany signs the armistice. The war is over. 134 wooden steamships have been completed. Another 162 are under construction in various stages. The need for emergency shipping evaporates overnight. Construction continues anyway. The Emergency Fleet Corporation has contracts. Workers need jobs. Communities depend on the shipyards. By July 1920, 296 wooden steamships are completed. None crossed the Atlantic during the war. Some enter coastwise trade. Some carry lumber to Hawaii. Most sit idle. The ships are poorly built. Construction was rushed. Materials were substandard. Skilled workers were scarce. The ships leak. The engines malfunction. The hulls warp. Salt water rots the wooden frames. Within 2 years, most are unseaworthy. The government tries to sell them. Few buyers emerge. The ships cost $1 million each to build. The total cost is $296 million. The largest single expenditure on merchant shipping in American history. The return on investment is disastrous. In 1922, Western Marine and Salvage Company purchases 233 ships for $750,000. The cost of a single ship. The company's plan is straightforward. Tow ships to Alexandria, Virginia, strip valuable machinery, engines, boilers, propellers, pumps, steam fittings, brass fixtures, sell the scrap. The metal components are worth approximately $10,000 per ship. The company expects to profit $2 million. But a problem emerges. What to do with the wooden hulls? The hulls are worthless. 240 to 300 feet of wooden structure. Planking, frames, decking, superstructure, millions of board feet of timber, but rotted, waterlogged, contaminated with salt, unsuitable for lumber, too large to haul away, too expensive to burn on land. The solution is simple. Burn them in the river, sink the remains. Western Marine moors the ships at Widewater, Virginia, across the Potomac from Maryland. The company tows ships individually to Alexandria, strips them, returns the hulls to Widewater, burns them, sinks them. Problems begin immediately. A fire at the Alexandria shipyard destroys 2 ships. Several more burn accidentally at Widewater. Local watermen complain. The burning damages fisheries. The sunken wrecks create navigation hazards. The Virginia authorities threaten legal action. In April 1924, Western Marine purchases 566 acres at Mallows Bay on the Maryland shore. The company constructs facilities, marine railways, slipways, workshops. The plan is to complete salvage operations more efficiently. Tow ships to Mallows Bay, beach them, burn them, recover remaining metal fittings. The operation begins. Complaints continue. Maryland watermen protest. The fish are dying. The bay is being destroyed. The smoke is intolerable. On November 7, 1925, Western Marine acts decisively. 31 ships are lashed together. 10 men set them all afire simultaneously. The conflagration is enormous. Flames tower into the sky. The heat is felt miles away. Rats by the thousands flee into the water. The Washington Post reports a horde of squealing rats plunging into the Potomac. The spectacle is witnessed by residents on both shores. It is environmental destruction on unprecedented scale. It is also expedient. 31 ships destroyed in hours instead of months. Salvage operations continue. By 1929, Western Marine has moved 174 hulls to Mallows Bay. But the Great Depression arrives. Scrap metal prices collapse. The operation becomes unprofitable. In 1931, Western Marine declares bankruptcy. The company abandons 100 ships in Mallows Bay. The hulks are left to rot. The bay becomes dumping ground. During the 1930s, local residents establish cottage industry. Unemployed men dynamite the wrecks. They recover brass fittings, iron bolts, copper piping, anything that can be sold. The salvaging is dangerous. Dynamite blasts create navigation hazards. The Army Corps of Engineers intervenes in 1937. Unsanctioned salvaging is banned. The wrecks are left alone. Wildlife begins colonizing the hulks. Then World War II begins. Scrap metal prices soar. The government needs steel, iron, copper. Every ton matters. In 1942, the Metals Reserve Company contracts with Bethlehem Steel Corporation. The mission is recover 20,000 tons of metal from the Mallows Bay wrecks. The contract is $200,000. Bethlehem Steel excavates a salvage basin, a cove sealed off from the bay. Ships are towed into the basin, stripped, burned. The metal is recovered, transported to Baltimore, used for war production. The operation is massive. Bethlehem Steel employs hundreds of workers. They dredge, they blast, they torch, they recover metal components. But the operation proves too expensive. The value of recovered metal does not justify the cost. By September 1944, Bethlehem Steel has spent $360,000. They have recovered less metal than expected. The operation is terminated. Over 100 ships remain in Mallows Bay. They are abandoned again. World War II steel comes from the wrecks of World War I ships. The irony is complete. After 1945, the Ghost Fleet is forgotten. The wrecks settle into the mud. Vegetation colonizes the hulks. Trees grow from the decks. Cattails and marsh grass surround the hulls. The wooden structures become artificial reefs. Fish populate the wrecks. Beavers build lodges in the hulls. Ospreys nest on the superstructures. Bald eagles hunt from the masts. The ecosystem that develops is unique. The largest artificial reef complex in the Potomac River. In the 1960s, renewed interest emerges. Idemont Incorporated purchases land around Mallows Bay. The company lobbies Congress to remove the wrecks. The stated reason is navigation safety. The actual reason emerges later. Idemont is controlled by Potomac Electric Power Company. The company plans to build power generating station at nearby Sandy Point. Removing the wrecks would clear the site. Congress holds hearings in 1968. For the first time, the ecological value of the Ghost Fleet is recognized. Scientists testify. The wrecks provide habitat for dozens of species. The artificial reefs support fisheries. The vegetation prevents erosion. The House Committee on Government Operations makes unprecedented ruling. The removal of the ships is unnecessary. The Ghost Fleet should be preserved. The wrecks are left in place. The ecosystem continues developing. Over the next 50 years, additional vessels join the Ghost Fleet. The most prominent is MV Accomac, steel-hulled car ferry, built 1928, served as convoy escort during World War II, operated as Chesapeake Bay Ferry until 1963, abandoned at Mallows Bay in 1973. The Accomac is the largest and most visible wreck. Her steel hull towers above the wooden steamships. She is the landmark that guides visitors to the site. Four-masted schooner Ida S. Dow was anchored in Mallows Bay in 1934. She served as floating dormitory for salvage workers. By 1940, she was abandoned and scuttled. She rests among the emergency fleet wrecks. Dozens of smaller vessels are present. Fishing boats, workboats, barges, log canoes, accumulated over decades. The bay became dumping ground for unwanted vessels. Today, approximately 200 wrecks rest in Mallows Bay and surrounding Potomac waters. In 2014, Maryland officials nominate Mallows Bay for National Marine Sanctuary designation. The proposal encounters opposition. Watermen fear increased regulation. Property owners worry about restrictions. The nomination stalls. In 2016, renewed effort begins. Proponents emphasize tourism potential, educational value, economic benefits. The opposition diminishes. On September 3, 2019, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration designates Mallows Bay, Potomac River, National Marine Sanctuary. 18 square miles of Potomac River waters. The first National Marine Sanctuary designated in 19 years. The first in the Chesapeake Bay watershed. The sanctuary protects over 100 emergency fleet wrecks, Civil War-era shipwrecks, Revolutionary War-era vessels, Native American archaeological sites dating 12,000 years. The diversity is extraordinary. The ecological value is recognized. The historical significance is preserved. The Ghost Fleet is protected for future generations. Today, Mallows Bay is accessible through County Park. Boat ramp, pier, trail system. Kayakers paddle among the wrecks. Photographers capture the haunting landscape. Historians study the remains. Marine archaeologists document the ships. Susan Langley, Maryland State underwater archaeologist, has surveyed every wreck. Donald Shamet, historian and author, has documented the fleet for decades. His book, Ghost Fleet of Mallows Bay, is definitive history. The wrecks are best viewed at low tide. The hulls emerge from the water like giant ribs. Wooden frames protrude skyward. Vegetation covers the structures. The scene is ethereal, ghostly. The ships appear to float between water and land. Neither sunk nor salvaged, suspended in time, the remains of ambitious failure, the evidence of industrial excess, the monument to emergency that was not. The Emergency Fleet Corporation exemplified American industrial capacity. 500,000 workers, 41 shipyards, 296 ships in 3 years. But the program also exemplified poor planning, rushing construction without adequate preparation, building ships without ensuring they were needed, spending $296 million on vessels that became obsolete before completion. The waste was staggering. The lesson was ignored. Similar patterns would repeat in World War II. Emergency shipbuilding programs, Liberty ships, Victory ships, built faster than quality control allowed. Many failed prematurely. But the scale was larger. The waste was greater. The lesson remained unlearned. Mallows Bay represents both failure and redemption. The ships failed their mission. They never fought in World War I. They never justified their cost. But they succeeded in ways unforeseen. They created habitat. They supported ecosystem. They became sanctuary. The failure became success through abandonment. By leaving the ships to rot, humanity accidentally created refuge for wildlife. The Ghost Fleet demonstrates that nature reclaims human mistakes. Given time, given neglect, nature transforms waste into resource. The irony of World War II salvage is profound. Ships built for World War I were scrapped to support World War II. The emergency fleet of one war became scrap metal for next war. The wooden hulls that failed to cross Atlantic in 1918 were stripped to build ships that crossed Atlantic in 1943. The cycle continued. Ships built in 1943 were scrapped in 1960s. Their steel became cars, buildings, appliances. The materials recycle endlessly. Only the wooden hulks remain. Too valueless to salvage, too durable to decompose completely. They persist. They endure. They haunt. The November 1925. Burning was witnessed by children. Some are still alive. They remember the flames, the smoke, the rats. The spectacle made impression. Donald Shamet first saw the Ghost Fleet in 1950s. He was camping with his family. The sight captured him. He returned repeatedly through his life. He became marine archaeologist. He dedicated career to documenting the fleet. The ships that were supposed to be forgotten became his life's work. The failed emergency fleet became national treasure. Visitors today paddle among the wrecks. They see trees growing from decks. They see ospreys nesting on masts. They see beavers building lodges in hulls. They see the transformation from industrial waste to natural habitat. They understand that abandonment was preservation, that neglect was protection, that forgetting was remembering in different form. The Ghost Fleet is memorial to emergency that was, sanctuary for species that are, museum of ships that never were what they were supposed to be. On the 7th of November 1925, 31 ships burned. The flames were supposed to destroy them. The fire was supposed to end the story. Instead, it began the transformation. From warships to graveyards to habitats, from emergency to abandonment to sanctuary. The Ghost Fleet of Mallows Bay is largest ship graveyard in Western Hemisphere, the monument to World War I emergency shipbuilding, the testament to World War II salvage efforts, the sanctuary where both wars are remembered, the place where wooden ships refused to completely die. They persist. They haunt. They shelter life. That is their redemption. That is their legacy. That is why they are called ghosts. Because they remain when they should be gone. Because they transformed when they should have ended. Because they matter when they should be forgotten. The Ghost Fleet of Mallows Bay, where World War I went to die, where nature went to live.